I think we're live. The counter's up. There we are. Hello, everybody. Come on in. Come on in. The chat is open. It's time for the Sunday Funnies. Come on in. I'm going to shrink us down here so people can see funny book covers.
Yes.
Come on in, everybody. There's our official notification from Google Chrome. We are actually live and alive, and I'm jumping over to my Facebook page right now to make this public because I know it's going to knock down to friends. It sure did.
Bad Facebook. Bad Facebook.
It's getting crazy. Crazier and crazier. How you doing? I've got Brian K. Morris here with me. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing great, Randy. How are you this morning?
I'm pretty close to alive. So I got coffee, I got drink, so it's okay.
Excellent.
Try to get through.
Yeah, we can manage this.
Somebody just no, I guess not. I thought somebody just friended over, but I guess not. All right. Well, hey everybody, come on in. Come on in. John Celestri's in the house. Hey, John. John, did you want a link? We'll all talk. We're just a bunch of guys my age this time, and or not just guys either, because Daphane's going to be here in a few minutes. We're going to reminisce about some funny books and just shoot the breeze. I think no real mission. Glenn Fleming's coming on board hopefully soon, and John, I'll send you a link here. I'll do that right now. My friend, let me see here. John's got a. Well, come on. It would work if it would work. There we go. Wonderful Facebook.
Facebook's worth every penny we pay for it. Remember that, kids.
That's right. That's right. There's a link, John. You're welcome to come in if you want. You're probably cooking breakfast or walking the dog. So, hey, everybody, come on in. Come on in. Welcome in. Celestri says, you are on. Yes, we are. We are on. Morning, Randy. Good morning, Ralph. How you doing? Ralph, you need to get set up at your house. I know we just talked to you last week from Stu's place, but when you get that set up at your house, let me know. We'll start doing this on a regular basis and company. John says a little later on. Okay, John, you're welcome on whenever you want. It's okay. We're not going to force you. So we appreciate you being here, everybody. Come on in, have a seat. Grab your favorite coffee. We're here to talk funny books somehow. We'll figure out where we're going. More people are on the way. The conversation will get lively here in a second. Let me run the opening. There it is. Here we go. Hello, everybody. It's another episode of the Sunday Funnies. Come on in. Have a seat. We're all here. Welcome. If you're listening to us on the YouTubes or at Facebook, come on aboard. If you're listening to us on Indie Volt Radio, you just be happy you can't see us. And you get to listen along. And we're here to talk comics and funnies for the next couple hours. My name is Randy Zimmerman. I will be your host. I am a longtime independent and alternative comics publisher and producer. I've done just about everything in the direct market that you can think of, from retailing to making conventions to creating, running editor-in-chief of Arrow Comics for a few years and doing all sorts of different things. And right now my specialty is doing sequential art for advertising and educational purposes because it pays better than the mainstream. But I'm here with my friend, Brian K. Morris. Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Randy. Thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate this.
And introduce yourself to the radio audience.
Happily, I'm Brian K. Morris. Excuse me. Independent publisher, freelance hybrid author, award-winning playwright, note the air quotes, and former mortician's assistant. Pardon me, I've got a frog in my throat. Anyway, I've also got books out for public consumption through Rising Tide Publications. We do contemporary fantasy, humor, and horror. And also, I'm a broadcaster Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We have Nevermind the Furthermore at 10 a.m. in the morning, Eastern Time. And on Tuesday night, Clever Tile Pending. And this week, we're going to have 2 episodes of Clever Tile Pending. We're going to have Brian Wensoff on Tuesday, a broadcaster, reels and heels, and does all kinds of really cool things. Then on Halloween Eve, we're going to have Master Ron Fitzgerald, a Chicago-based illusionist, the master of dark, sticky magic.
Dark, sticky magic.
Yes, and it may be the first episode that we're going to have to put a not safe for work warning on.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's not just because of Ron, because we're two old friends that you've got that friend that you just let all your guard down and your IQ plummets.
Mm-hmm.
Ron's one of those friends, and so it's going to be like a couple hours of real good stupid that night. And on Halloween's Eve, it's going to be great. And Ron's got his own special coming up on the next night on Halloween night. It's going to be 2 hours of magic and conversation. So I'm excited to kind of tease into that show there. But we have some fun on my shows, just like you have on here. So that's what I do.
Cool. When you said hybrid author earlier,
yes.
There's a lot of our radio listeners are all throughout the world. You might want to explain exactly what that is.
Well, while I do write comic books, and I've published one, and I'm working on a couple more, in the field of like novel writing and such, there are self-publishers and there are people who are published by other people. And I am a hybrid author in that I not only publish myself through my Rising Tide Publications page, or my company rather, but also I've been asked by other people to write for them. And I've worked for a whole bunch of other people like Flinch Books and just a whole bunch of companies that probably you've never heard of, but if you follow me, you'll learn about them. So, but it's a lot of fun. And it's quite an honor, though, to be doing your own thing. And then after a while, people ask you to get involved with it. So it's I'm not saying it pays all the bills, but it sure is good for the ego.
Understood. Yep. A quick response there.
That's all right.
And your work is available on Amazon
and Smashwords, yes, sir. And
Smashwords. What's Smashwords?
Smashwords is it's like Amazon, but not quite the evil empire. And some days it's a lot better run, if you know what I mean.
But don't get me started.
Oh yeah, Amazon. I feel about Amazon the way I feel about Facebook half the time. It's a free service and you get what you paid for.
Yes, you do. And they're really messing me around for not being a Prime member on shipping me stuff. It's driving me crazy.
Oh man. In my case, they keep saying they keep sending me emails that I canceled my Prime service because it's like, hey, get our TV service. I don't watch TV. That's how I get so much done. Okay. And I don't watch a lot of TV like I used to. I didn't have the what Harlan Ellison used to call the glass teat on constantly. Mm-hmm. But I cut the cable and I binge watch now. But I use it as a reward for meritorious behavior, like getting my work done on before the deadline, sort of thing.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I keep getting these ads saying, well, use your Amazon Prime membership and do this. And it's like, well, I don't have my Amazon Prime membership anymore. So please check your records. Yeah. So we have a 7-second delay here at the compound here.
Brian is self-censoring himself this morning. We are actually TVMA DLSV. So where the V stands for Varian, but Varian ain't here today. So he might be on a little later. I sent him the link too. But
cool.
Not that he's an old fogey reminiscing about comics, but
one day, what was it?
It is his company after all, and he's always welcome in.
Oh heck yeah! I love talking to the guy. I'm glad it seems like he's doing a little better. He shocked me one day. Just once, yeah. I'm pretty unshockable for the most part, which is why I have all my shows. But no, he said something about he cannot remember a time when there weren't comic shops. And like you and I before the show were talking about, like taking our bicycles 50 miles uphill both ways in the snow barefoot.
Just 10.
Okay, yeah. Just 10 in your case. I had my mom drive me. My tears drove her to distraction. But no, there were a time when you went to a drugstore, you tried to figure out who carried what.
Yeah.
And, when you could get it. And, it's just a whole different world as far as procuring comics. It sounds more like hunting and gathering than collecting for the most part.
That was always part of the fun, though. That was part of the quest of going out there and trying to find, especially the books you knew Marvel chinched down on distributing to everybody. Because there were some titles that were super rare, like Amazing Adventures was a big one.
Yes.
And the whatever Captain Marvel was in, probably Captain Marvel at the time, was next to impossible to find because they were all cosmic at that point. And Starlin was just getting his foothold into Marvel. And man, them books were impossible. I remember Omega. What's it? Omega the Untamed, I think it was called. That was rough to get, always rough to find. And my favorite, Skull. I think it was Skull the Untamed, actually.
I loved Skull. That was a great book. If they would have settled on a format and stuck with it.
That's what made it amazing. Every issue was a different genre. It's like, well, what are they going to do with him now? Every time they passed the book around like a hot potato to different writers, and every writer went, I don't want to write this kind of book. I want to write this kind of book. They sit there and take that plot way off into left field. Then the next writer, he'd only be there for an issue. It was bi-monthly. And then they'd pass it over to the next writer, and he'd take it off into a different left field.
Yeah. That's anybody who reads that collection now that they've got, that Marvel has out, is like, they're going to be totally bewildered if they just start in the middle of it.
Is there a collection?
Yeah, there was. I saw it at Ollie's, which is kind of one of those.
We know. I know.
You have Ollie's up there? Yeah, I love Ollie's with a white hot passion. I really do.
I had to get one of their yellow cards. I was walking out with so many books.
Oh, same here. I just picked up a hardcover. My local one got the hardcover of the Roger Landridge Muppet Show.
Okay, yeah. Yep.
And I love that book. That is seriously just such a fun book. And it's one of those, when you're my age, you have to put it down on the table because if you holding your arms too long, you feel your tendons snap. So it's that heavy.
Thick omnibuses it's a coffee table book meant to be left on the coffee table.
Unless it's the Conan omnibus that I forgot who put it out, where it's like you can make a coffee table from that.
Hey, good morning. Sorry,
good morning.
Didn't suck all the oxygen out of the room.
We're currently joined by Daphane Lage. Daphne, introduce yourself to our audience.
Good morning. Hello, my name is Daphane Lage, and I am a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. And I am the artist of the funny animal fantasy comic Tall Tales and the upcoming Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, premiering on Kickstarter January 4th, 2021. You can check out my work and sign up for updates at Tales, TAILS online.com, and my YouTube channel at Daphane Lage, LAGE art.com. Well, not .com, just YouTube.
let me get rid of our frame here so people can actually see your address on the screen. Anybody that's watching us, that is. So thanks everybody for tuning in to our radio audience. We're glad that you're out there. We don't have numbers up. Varian's not here, and he has the technology over there, but we'll find out later. Our last week's show, where we had the Aero Comics folks on, actually pulled down an audience of 56,000. So
nice.
Very
very happy.
I had to take a nap. I had to take a nap after that show. It was so fun and nostalgic, and I got all in my feelings.
Got all up in your feels.
Yeah.
It's so strange when and I think we've all professionally geeked out at somebody at one point or another, where you just sit there and you go, I read your stuff a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Murphy Anderson was mine.
I was at a Chicago con, and Ray Bradbury and Forrest J. Ackerman come by together, and I'm like, guys, love your stuff. Love your stuff. That's about all you can say. Love your stuff.
You're a neat writer.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Zimmy Randy.
I know who you are. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of yours.
I was like that the first time I met George Perez too, because we were at a Chicago con getting Stan Lee was there, and we were getting stuff signed, and George was sitting next to him. And this was back right as Tales from the Anniverse 3 had come out, and I was bringing Stan copies of the Anniverse to have, because everybody wants Stan to see your stuff back then. And get things signed from him. I had him sign the first 3 masterworks, which are, are little treasures of mine. But George was sitting next to him, and I recognized it was George Perez because I've seen his picture before. George jumped out of his chair and said, "You're Randy Zimmerman. You do Tales from the Anniversary. Your stuff is great."
Oh my God.
And I was just,
They had to scrape you off the floor.
Exactly.
I've got a story.
It's like, I like your stuff too, George.
Yeah, you're okay, George. I had a similar experience. This was years ago at the Superman celebration in Metropolis, Illinois.
Okay.
And George was the guest there. And for a while I was doing cosplay, and I came around as Uncle Marvel. Uncle Dudley Marvel. I even had my wife even like sewed a wig for me with the wacky hair and everything.
Awesome.
And I'm wandering around, and George, of course, has got a line that you can't see the end of because of the curvature of the earth. Okay. And I'm walking through the area that he's in, and all of a sudden he looks at me and starts, like that. And I'm like, I don't know what they said to piss him off, but anyway, he comes running around to me and goes, "Can we take our picture together? I love your outfit." And I'm like, shouldn't that be the other way around? Like I get your picture, and when you fire up my computers, that's the first picture you see is George with his arm around me and me going,
yeah.
Yeah, no, even I had I don't remember what convention it was or how it happened, but me and George were just talking at a convention. It's like I really couldn't tell you how it happened. It was just me and George talking.
Mm-hmm.
And all I remember is that at one point we were talking about, it's like, hey, what are the chances I can get some artwork out of you? Mm-hmm. And George like quoted me. He goes like for you, I'll do a nice cover for you for $400. And even at the time, I was just like, oh my God, really? And like an ass, I never took him up on it.
Oh, yeah.
I never took it. I mean, it was just one of those things where I figured, I'll catch you later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. It's like, I regret it to this day. It's like, could you imagine a George Perez Tall Tales piece? I mean, that.
I believe they call it printing money.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, an ass.
For Flint Comics, we wanted him on the 50th issue, and he knew the Toth girls, Lane and Perry Toth, and we all went out to dinner after a Motor City show that he was at, and asked him to do the cover. And he thought about it for a second. He goes, "I'll do your cover," he says, "but I want the older Toth girl to ink it." And we're all like. She was good. She was talented, but man, inking over George Perez, I don't know. But it was, she did an incredibly beautiful job on it, and we passed it over to Paul Sizer to color it, and it was one of our best covers. It was really cool. It had the spark on it, and had the Toth's characters, which was Lucky the one-eyed dog, and the see-through baby. It was a baby with plastic see-through skin. That and at the time the girls created this, they were like 10 and 8 when they created these characters.
Wow!
But they were really good strips. So I ran them all through the Flint Comics paper. But I was so happy with that cover. I sent that around to all of the news, all the comic media, and sent out emails and press releases and all that. Got totally ignored by everybody.
Oh, wow.
No.
For my 50th.
Well, because it wasn't Wonder Woman, probably.
Yeah, it wasn't a mainstream book. Yeah. It was it's just some guy up in the middle of Michigan, doing something different that nobody wants to know. You can print your own newspaper and get it advertised or supported.
Yeah. And you can get George Perez to do a piece for you.
Yeah. George who?
Yeah. It's funny that is pretty interesting how that happens. That it's like, George Perez, poor George Perez. Oh, it's not Wonder Woman? Who is that guy? Like how quickly it turns when it's like it's not Batman or something. That all of a sudden nobody knows these people's names.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Of course, it just reminds us that there are circles. Everybody has their circle.
Yeah.
Because I have friends in other professions, and they're like, "Well, I'm going to this professional conference, and we're seeing Doctor So and So," and I'm like, "Well, good. I hope he can cure whatever you've got." But he's a total stranger to me. I'm glad you're worked up about it.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, "Hey, I met Murphy Anderson," and then they're like, "Oh, that's nice, Brian."
Right. I mean, it's like me and JD were talking yesterday about like just how much of a short memory this industry has.
Yeah,
And,
that hurts so much.
yeah,
To somebody like me who collects names, like I'm on the verge of fanboying because I'm next to Randy Zimmerman, of course, because
don't
I've got
forget it.
I go through
I
my
was the same
collection.
way too.
Yeah,
Well, like
exactly.
kind
And
of
now
still am, you know.
it's like I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. But no, but it's like because I do like your work. I really do. It's really great stuff. But
Well, thanks for that. I have a my Daphne Lage story. I tell everybody I met Daphne a long time ago. She doesn't even remember it.
No,
But
no, I
I passed
don't.
by. I says, "Hi, I'm
Again,
Randy
it's me
Zimmerman.
being an
I do
ass.
Tales from the Anniversary," and she went like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay,
yeah, yeah.
nice to see you. See you later."
Yeah, it's like that was like I said, ass.
Yeah.
Right, that right there.
Yeah, and most of my interactions are like we were at the same convention. We may have even said, get out of my way or something. But other than that, we never really, it's years later that we connect with each other on a personal basis. So, Chicago Con, I was living in downstate Illinois for way too long time. And that was my cultural nexus right there. That was where everybody came in. And it was like 2 hours away from me. It was the only chance I'd get to meet for a time, professionals in not just the independent field, but, the mainstream guys too. So, and if I'd known then what I know now, etc.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
Yeah. Or the artwork I should have picked up when it was only $5 or this, that, and the other. I passed up a half-page Neil Adams from The Adventures of Bob Hope one time. Thinking, well, I don't know. It only has Super Hip on it. I'm not sure I want that one, and then I come back and find out who bought it, and I'm like seething with fury for the rest of my life, with this, unexpressed rage. I'm just going to go off on somebody one day about it was only $5, you son of a, so.
Yeah. Hey, you look back at all those original art pages you passed by for 20, 30, $40.
Oh yeah, and when you could actually go to a show and get like a, here's our $10 stack, and it's like
exactly,
you can prop your camera up on it, do your broadcasts on it. So yeah, my first piece is I was horrified when I had to start paying like $25 for a page. Like, good God, what is this economy going? Yeah. It's going to hell.
Hey, Randy, if it makes you feel any better, I think I did the same thing to Stan Sakai several times.
No, it's okay. I took it in stride. I've had those days and burned plenty of bridges in my time for not knowing people.
Yeah. I knew who George Perez was.
And George Perez knew me. That was it. I was floating in the clouds the whole rest of the show. It's like George Perez likes my work.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that was and anytime you see George after that, it's just a normal guy.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
He always has been.
Yeah.
Because I saw him at Chicago Con a couple times. Yeah, and he's just so nice. He's just a real gentleman. So
yeah, it took me a little while to realize after that to because it started becoming a job. I was actually living on Tales from the Anniversary for a while. Sue and I both were. And I went and got a sketchbook, a big sketchbook. And in order to remind myself to be a fan, and tried to grab all these guys as I was seeing them at shows, just to get their autograph on the cover. Before everybody wanted to charge.
Well, that's also, and also like the lines were like a mile long. Because I remember those days too, that you could just walk up to anybody and they'll just, now you can't even get near them.
Well, now they see the sketchbook and they see everybody else that I've got signatures in. I think the only person I ever paid to sign in the book was Jim Steranko. And then once Jim opened the book and he saw all the signatures and he saw I had already paid the money,
right?
He kind of looked at me, sideways and said, "Where do you want me to sign it?" I said, "Take a page." He goes, "You want me to take a page? I'll take a page." He put out a magic marker. He took a page. It was a big sketchbook. And he's got this signature that looks like a brushes and the word escapes me for it, a palette.
Oh,
yeah, right.
with ink on it. Just he did that beautiful. Just
Like the signature itself was frameable.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
amazing, and it was large. It was huge. So.
Do you still have that book?
Oh yeah, I still have.
Okay.
I still have that book because I've got people that signed in there that unfortunately are no longer with us and haven't been for quite a while. You know, Julie Schwartz and I got Spain and a few of the underground guys in there, and just I had certain people also go through and do sketches for me whenever they were affordable.
Yeah. I used my
Whenever I could swing it.
the hardcover DC History of the DC Universe for graffiti.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
using that as my autograph book for a number of years, and the first person I got was Mike Carlin, and he drew himself riding on Superman's shoulders as he's flying. Beautiful George Perez illustration talking about George. And the thing is, I'd give it to artists, and they'd be like, well, Carlin drew something. Well, I'm going to show him. So I got a lot of free sketches because they were pissed off at Carlin for some reason. So
yeah. Glenn, I think we got a bit of an echo.
That's probably I'm doing this via phone. It's the only way I can do it.
Okay.
Well,
but I don't know what we do.
That's a little better. No, I keep hearing myself. Yeah.
Can you put an earphone? Can you put
on earphones?
No, don't have them.
Oh.
Okay. What did you do last time when we were talking?
Just the same as I'm doing now.
we just all ended up rebooting our computers, remember?
Yeah, you might have to reboot and come back in.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Sorry, Glenn.
Okay.
That was Glenn Fleming, everybody. Hopefully he'll be back.
Nobody wants to hear me twice.
No, that really becomes a jumbled mess. Any of us, not just you, bro. Any of us.
He'll sound like a Yoko Ono recording after a while.
Yes. But yeah, I still have that sketchbook. I still have people put stuff in it every once in a while. And I think the actual Steranko page, I've even had people go through and put little signatures in the corner. That's about all that was left.
Nice.
But yeah, I have a piece of Ramona Fradon in there that I love. That's a plastic man piece. That's just
cool.
Amazing. And
cool.
That's probably the biggest one in there that
you couldn't do that anymore. It's like even if you could, it would be so expensive because everyone charges now. And and that's if even you had access, because now it's like they separate everybody, and you got goons protecting them and keeping them from the table. It's like, keep it moving. It's like
I played a goon at a show before. I was a gopher for Bernie Wrightson for 3 years. That was fun.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Gonna bring Glenn back on here, see how it goes. Let's try it. There we are. Hey, how are you?
Is that better?
We're still hearing an echo, Glenn. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay. You carry on. I'll be back in a bit.
All right, Glenn. Sorry.
Maybe.
You can do this, Glenn.
We'll get this working.
We have every faith in you.
Yeah.
That's very frustrating.
Yeah, we had it worked out a couple of weeks ago, but we were jumping back and forth. And I think he even left early because eventually his software or the StreamYard catches up to his phone.
Yeah.
No.
But we all need to get better equipment. There we go. Yeah. So
There's probably a straight line in there, but I ain't taking it.
Yeah. I don't think this is going to change anytime soon. So if you're out there and you're into comics, folks, you're going to need to bite the bullet, take that expense, get yourself a good microphone, get yourself a good camera, get yourself on YouTube so that we can talk to you.
Yeah, exactly.
This might be replacing conventions for the foreseeable future at this rate. So
unfortunately.
Well, I actually had a convention a week ago in Kokomo, Indiana.
Cool.
Was it secret? Was it one of those like, you had to like,
know someone who knows someone, yeah, the secret handshake and everything, the knock, Brian sent me. Oh,
yeah,
shit.
exactly.
Yeah. No,
that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. Speakeasy Con.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. No, We'll talk. No, but no, it was open. I mean, they were limiting attendance. They did have hand sanitizer stations. They did have announcements over PA that we are checking to make sure that you are wearing your face mask properly, and you are not going to get in without it.
Yeah.
Oh, good morning, honey. Thank you. My wife loves me. I love my wife. Thank you,
Yay!
sweetheart. Yay! Like, wait a minute. Where am I? Who are you people? No. Anyway, but no, it was very safe. And in fact, the promoter would get on over the PA system telling people, if you aren't wearing your mask properly, you will be taken out of the convention. Your money will not be returned to you. And he told his helpers, okay, it's now the top of the hour. Be looking for people who aren't wearing their masks correctly. Be rude. Right. And I'm like, yes. So kudos to John Hilton.
They have to take stands like that. I mean, it's like, if we want to, I mean, it's like, look, it's not going to be normal, but you know, it's like, look, it's like, yeah, obviously he cared very much about being able to do this convention safely. You know, it's like, look, it's like, you know, like the Disney parks in Japan and Hong Kong and even in Orlando, they're showing that you can have large crowds safely, but you have to be able to take that stand to make it safe. So I don't know whether it's just that they don't trust individual people to do it, but you know, in the end, it's not about individual people. It's about a promoter being willing to say, my goons are going to get you.
Yes.
and to be responsible. Yeah.
And you know, as somebody attending as a guest, I was very, very happy to see this. And we had actual tables between the tables. Mm-hmm. You know, we all got like a 10 by 10 space.
You know what's funny is that's there's certain things that are happening that I hope remains that way after all this is in the past, because to have that much space between tables is you know, it's like that, you know, it's like, because you know what, I fed up for years of having to climb over and under tables because all the people beside you had to pile up all their suitcases and their banners and everything. And you know, and it's like you couldn't go to the bathroom and then they pushed all the tables together, and it's just an obstacle course. It's like, oh, now we have 6 feet of space between tables. Yay!
Yeah. Oh my God. Seriously, it was really, really nice. Or you get somebody who, if you get a power strip behind you, suddenly they have to plug everything in. That's why I always carry a power strip with me.
Right. Well, that's if you could plug it in, because usually, I guess, depending on the convention, they had that wacky plug to keep people from doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
you had to pay like $30 to use it.
Yeah, no, it was a great convention. Kudos to Sean Hilton for it, and it was just a great experience. And I hadn't had a show since February, so I was glad to get out and be among my peeps. And White, we have a guest, don't we? Right?
Glenn, I'm going to turn your mic on. No, Glenn, you need to turn yourself on from your end. You're muted.
I think he's frozen.
And you're frozen.
And
sorry, Glenn.
Oh boy. Oh, technology.
You're frozen.
Glenn, please. We want you here.
Yeah, really, we do.
We do.
There he is. Glenn, how you doing?
He's still muted.
Just a second.
There you go.
There we go.
We got you.
And we're good.
Finally.
Sounds great.
Finally.
Hi, Glenn.
Finally. Hey, how are you doing?
Hey, good morning. Well, I don't know if it's good morning where you are. What, you're 6 hours ahead?
It's the afternoon. We have this crazy system from the war where we turn the clocks back an hour. That's why I've missed the beginning of the show, because it's 2:30 in my head, but it's 1:30 in reality.
Oh, okay. I think we do that in
that's
about
why
a
I'm
week
late.
or so.
The colonies are imitating you too, and we don't like it any more than you do. So
unless you're in Arizona, and then they say, screw that.
There's like three or four states that don't observe the daylight savings time. I wish I was one of them.
Right?
It's like the coronavirus. Just change the rules every day, and just confuse everybody.
Exactly.
I don't know whether you guys know this, but the war ended about 80 years ago, and we still turned the clock back so we could get an extra hour daylight.
Yeah.
So Where's Google? What the hell?
they're trying to rescind it here, but I think
Yeah.
it's going to happen state by state. It's
Yeah.
not gonna be a
Right,
national
right.
thing. But it
There's
is
no
time
there's,
to-
there's,
time to
there's no
ignore it.
wonder there's so many problems because people can't agree.
Mhm.
Just
True
do
that.
one thing. And
Right,
then,
exactly.
You know,
It's like, trust
we're
me,
fixed.
it's like people are not going to miss daylight saving.
Oh,
That's right.
A light bulb. Don't worry. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
We can let it get darker soon, early.
Yeah.
inevitable. Yeah. Let me catch up on the chat for a minute. Marv E says, how you doing today? I just realized that the time changed tonight in Portugal. 1 hour. Went back an hour.
Yeah.
I won't be able to see the show. I'm having lunch with my wife. See you soon. Okay, Marv. No problem.
Okay.
We're always available and
Next time.
archived on YouTube.
Yeah.
Share us with your wife.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Then he
What
says,
says I love you than this show?
Uh-huh.
Marv says he's still there. This is, hi, Daphne. Says, hello, Daphne.
Hello.
Marv says again, I loved the debate about Comic Blast
Oh my God.
what it was said on the Breakfast Buzz show.
That was.
Marv sent me a real interesting film this morning, in fact, about that I debated sharing with you.
No.
I gotta catch up.
I no.
Did I just see Meredith? Hello. No, it wasn't Meredith. Sorry. That's Glenn. Glenn
Hi
Fleming.
there.
Wow.
Randy,
Okay.
Randy,
all
you know,
the time.
Randy, you
Marv
know, you were saying
might need glasses.
you were saying about the technology, Randy. It's this StreamYard thing I can't get my head around. I can do Zoom and Skype and all that kind of stuff, but my computer won't take StreamYard. I think it's the Chrome thing. My computer's, I think it was the first one ever made. It was made in 1901.
Mm-hmm.
Not really. It's a Mac. It's a Mac, and it isn't like the new version of Chrome.
No,
That's why I'm struggling.
Okay, I get it.
StreamYard's real picky too about what they like and what they don't like. What they
Mac
take.
doesn't even like.
Yeah.
That's true too.
But it's very good to use.
JD Santabenez, thanks for listening, JD. Appreciate you, Irv Norvik and Jim Aparo. Period. I would love to have a book with their artwork in black and white.
Yeah.
Yep.
Seriously.
I only have a few showcase books. Yeah, those showcase presents are amazing. Yeah, Jim Aparo would be really nice to have an artist. What does IDW call it? Artist showcase.
Oh yeah.
That would be great.
It's such a shame that there is like this obsession about everything having to be in color, because it's like there's so much stuff that it's like, you really don't appreciate it until you see that line work.
Well, that's why the Essential series was so good, wasn't it? With the reprints of the Jack Kirby work. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I've got the real comics, as it were, stashed away in the archive. But those Essential things were great for me. One, because I didn't have to keep looking at the old stuff, and ruining it a bit more. And the other one was that it's in black and white, and I can see all that glorious line work by Kirby and Joe Sinnott and people like that.
Right.
So they're just beautiful. I've not got the the big volumes that were released a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've not got those yet, but I've seen them, and those are incredible because those are taken from the sort of life-size artwork. Yeah, and I love all the mistakes that you see.
Yeah,
you think these people are sort of are invincible, and there's all these corrections everywhere on their lettering, and that's what makes it real for me. I love that.
I like the aesthetic of the rubber cement eating away at the paper, and it's like that those brown stains, and with the white out that pops out, and I mean
Well, I've got some artwork from years ago when I was working in graphic design, and we used to use they were called PMTs. It's a photo mechanical transfer. It's like a big camera. You probably know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And look, I got some artwork from the late 70s and early 80s from when we were using that stuff, and spray mount and all that kind of thing. And they've all gone brown, and it looks better than it did when it was published. It looked fantastic. It looks real. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I've got some older pieces with some cheap Zipatone on it.
Oh yeah.
And of course, our audience is like Zip a what? But but it's kind of like gone off color, but it's added like a depth to the artwork that I'm like.
I don't know how old you guys are, and I'm not going to ask, but I started out using cow gum. Do you remember that?
Oh my.
Okay. I haven't heard that in years. Yeah.
You never heard of you've heard of it though.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, but I used to use that, and then spray mount came along, and that was a revelation.
Yeah.
But everybody
Well,
was.
I'm assuming it's similar to rubber cement. Is it?
Yeah. It's like a glue. It's like a glue, and you just paste it on the back of your typesetting and your photograph and stick it down on a piece of board.
So
Yeah.
But you can move it.
It's waxy,
But
right?
you can, you can, and you can move it about. You can move it about. It's really good. And then
Oh,
spray
wait a
mount
minute. That's
came
the one
along.
where you had to like use a roller to like.
Yeah, you could
it
use.
was like a
Yeah.
spaghetti masher or
Yeah.
something. And
Yeah.
then wax. I think I had a friend that was using that when he first went into advertising.
Yeah,
And he
that's
was
right.
Oh, yeah.
But it's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. It's just great to use. I've still got a tin. I don't use it, but I've still got a tin.
Right.
I've not opened it for 40 years, so it's probably solid now, So I don't know.
Probably.
And then spray mount came along and started killing everybody with cancer because it gets in your lungs and all this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
Be
it's all
hacking
good
up
stuff.
stringy stuff for a while. Use it
Ew.
if you used it
Yeah.
Yeah.
like a hairball.
Yeah.
Oh, those were the days.
I used to be an ace separator using ruby lith and amber lith.
Oh,
and
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. And a scalpel and things like that.
JD actually went to a school to specialize in that. Yeah.
Not that I didn't. No, not so much.
Well,
I was good at it too, and I was great until Photoshop.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I remember when, some of the graphics programs started coming out for computers, and people would be like, I worked at Office Depot at the time, and I had people. Well, I tried doing this, with like paint. Which is its own limitation. But I tried doing it with like a graphics program. I couldn't get it to do. So I'd pull out like a X-Acto knife and a straight edge, and I'd get it done in like 30 seconds.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
By the time the computer booted up, I've got handing in the works. So.
We got really adept with those
X-Actos. One time
X-Actos.
with an X-Acto knife, but that's another issue.
Yeah, people always point out that I use a pencil to draw with, and a brush to ink it, and coloured inks and paints, and I just love the feel on the paper. And the people a bit, little bit younger than us are working on computers, and I say, what do you do if there's no electricity? You're knackered, aren't you? But I can get my pencil. I can use my pencil on a desert island, But your computer thing. But I've yet to see a coloured page done on a computer that I thought was any good. To tell you the truth, I've not seen
it's funny.
everything.
I have that issue too. There hasn't been like a digital colorist that made me go, oh, that's the way I want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've yet to find one.
There are so few colorists out there that I think are really good.
Yeah.
Somebody that you sit there and you go, that is great colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very few and far between, because it's so easy to muck up in Photoshop. Between the computer screen and the actual printed page, there's like 3 levels of dullness. And you can't help but see it when you pick up these comics that are mostly brown or mostly dark.
Right? Yeah. That's true. That's true. Well, it looks good on the screen.
Helen's just got some cow gum up on the computer. It was on eBay.
No. How old is that bottle?
It's called Studio Gum now.
Studio Gum.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. It's not an original can.
Dust it off.
Please tell me it's explosive or something. That's
made of the finest
film or something.
Made of the finest boiled cow hooves.
That might be a problem. Yeah.
Don't tell Peter that. Don't tell Peter that, or we're all in trouble.
We're saying about using coloured inks and hand colouring and things like that. I find one of the most exhilarating things is when you get your brush and you sort of wet the end of it, and start. You can't do that in Photoshop.
No.
The wonders of wetting the brush with your mouth.
That reminds me of a photo. Not even a photo, but a sign that I saw at at an art supply store. I forgot. I don't remember if it was like Blix or something. But there was like a little sign going, "Do not lick brushes." It's like, oh my God, what animal does that? You have to find first.
Come on, you used to always, when you were looking for that perfect ink brush to ink with, you'd sit there for a long time at the supply store.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, that's right.
Trying to get that curve down to that point to make sure it looked
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
That's
Now I
right.
think they cover everything in glue anyway, so you have
Yeah.
to like wash the brushes and
Yeah. Yeah.
do not
You have
lick
to hope for
brushes.
the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you talk about coloring though. My wife has during the coronavirus, she learned how to do Photoshop.
Oh,
But
good for her.
Right.
Good for her.
but her influences are like mine,
Mhm.
and so she has taken up some computer coloring for some small publishers. God
Oh,
bless
there you
her.
go.
Yeah.
And
Right,
the
good,
thing is,
good.
she does it in a style like the old 60s, 70s comics,
Oh,
when
that's
you only
fun.
had
Sweet.
64
Yeah.
shades to deal with, and stuff looks like Stan Goldberg or Marie Severin, and my heart beats with pride.
Yeah.
That's my
No, that's
woman.
great. Yeah. No, it's funny because I watched some tutorials online too during the whole lockdown. I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to color properly.
Yeah.
And it really is funny how it's like it really goes from, oh, you have access to millions of colors down to, I only really need 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, I don't really need to color in every little blade of grass and stuff in the background,
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me about
Yeah.
Photoshop, in that
Yeah.
too many artists and too many designers. I noticed
Yeah.
this with Wizard magazine back in the day, that just because you have all these effects doesn't mean you're supposed to use them all at once,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
or that
Yeah.
you've got like this limitless palette, this Pantone, this
Yeah.
Pantone rich environment,
Right.
and you only use like navy, dark brown, and and then dark green.
Right. Yeah.
Everything looks like it's at the bottom of a swamp.
I mean, what's funny?
They'll go through and they'll flat, and then their idea of shading is different shades of gray laid over top of it.
Right, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like, no, that's not how, color theory, people.
Yeah, yeah.
I could never get my head around zipper-tone. We were saying about zipper-tone. It's okay in its place, but was it Wally Wood who used to use zipper-tone all the time?
Oh,
everybody back in those days used to.
I think that's
Oh,
who
that
I
and
heard
duo
it
shade.
first from in the interview.
Especially on the black and whites and underground books, whatever.
I think it's horrible because what it does, it's the same thing with the computer lettering. It makes it too regimented and too pristine. And Wally Wood's artwork doesn't need any zipper tone at all, does it? Let's face it.
No.
And I could never work out why he used it, because I don't. Well, he obviously thought it was great, but I don't.
Well,
I never used it.
The artist learns to use the tool creatively.
Yeah.
Instead of as a crutch. Yeah.
Well, for me, it didn't work.
Well, I get. Well, the thing is, you can have like a Virgil Finlay, who did all those great science fiction stories.
Beautiful stipple work, hand done.
By hand. And I have a friend who's studied his career, and like when you see Virgil Finlay's art, like, of course, comic art is blown up like 50% or 100% times what you see usually when they do it, analog style. But Finlay, if you saw an illustration like this in a magazine, that's the original size too, I found out.
Yeah.
And he would sit there and just do this with his
Have you seen Have you seen Frank Bellamy's work?
I was just going to mention that.
Oh, Dan Dare, I love that.
He did Garth later in black and white for the Daily Mirror. That's absolutely superb. And that's the same thing.
Did a small run on Thunderbirds. It's just amazing.
Yes, he did. Yeah, that was in color. Yeah,
there's a guy who didn't need color.
Oh yeah, nope.
He's done it. He produced a fantastic book about the First World War. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't. I heard about it though.
I don't know what it's called, but it's all these fantastic illustrations of these French soldiers, and it's absolutely incredible. He was a brilliant artist, and I think he died. I think he was only 59 when he died in mid 70s, 1976, I think.
Yeah, he's taken way too young. Yeah.
He's one of those artists that's so distinctive, though. You see that, that's Frank Bellamy.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to sign it.
Aparo, any of these guys they had their own distinct look.
Yeah.
Speaking of Thunderbirds, Randy, a friend of mine in Blackpool, a place near me, he has an original Frank Bellamy Thunderbird centre spread from TV21 in 1966.
Cool.
And I held it, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's 50 years old, and the colours are so striking.
Oh man!
I think did they use those? Were they Pelican inks?
The doctor, like the pigment dyes.
What were you going to say?
Martins.
Dr.
Martins.
Dr. Martins, not Pelican. Dr. Martins. He used those, and the colours are still as striking now as when he put them down in 1966.
Yep.
Absolutely beautiful artwork. I'd love to own a piece of that.
The power of those pigments too. You could take one of those vials of Dr. Martin dyes when it was half empty and drip a few extra pieces of water in there, and the color shade never lightened up. It always stayed the same.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Oh yeah. Well, I had a set forever, and they would dry out constantly. You just go in, throw water in it, shake it up real good, look at it, look at it until all the crust was gone. You were good to go. It's just like water.
Funny.
Amazing.
No, the one thing that I never got to try because it was like really being phased out by the time I got into it was duo shade. Like it's or duotone. It's like you had to draw on a special paper, and then it's like you took like I don't know, like some kind of chemical, and then you brush it, and then like these stripes would show up on the paper. Never got to play around with that.
There are two lethal chemical developers.
Oh really?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's
Buzz Sawyer, the comic strip Buzz Sawyer used that all the time.
Right.
Yeah, Andrew Peaboy, who we've had on the show here, did a whole run of Simone and Ajax like that. He would hunt down duotone board.
Oh wow!
Different formats and do. Simone and Ajax's he did at the time were only like 5 to 8 pages long. Just amazing stuff. But it's also one of those tools that could easily become a trap. Because I did an Anniversary story one time that ended up in was an anthology collection that was just way overdone. Because you had a light gray and you had a dark gray, and everything on that panel was everything on those pages.
That's how you learn. That's how you learn. You know, we have to go overboard first.
Just hardcore dual shade abuse. Yeah.
There's a 12-step program for that now.
Yes, there will be.
That material's long gone. So you can still find it every once in a while, but not very often.
Right.
Speaking of Zipatone, I remember fondly having to bug Flint Architectural Supply because I would go in there and they'd go, "Oh, we know who you are. You want these drawers here with all the weird patterns."
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. We had when I was drawing back in the 80s, we had one art store that carried Zipatone, and it's I think they were ordering it only for me after a while. Because everyone else had moved on to like more conventional things that didn't take manual dexterity, like lining up the dots in the corner and everything, and getting the X-Acto knife and getting it right.
Putting on layer after layer in order to get that right moire pattern.
Yeah,
correct. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But they would pieces that use Zipatone though. They're pains in the butt to scan though. Yes, because it's like it just requires so much manipulation to not get a moire pattern, you know.
Oh yeah.
Well, back then we tried to do that on purpose, and then you'd photostat them. So
right. Yeah.
Get a direct, photograph of them straight on.
That was a problem back in the 60s with TV21 with Frank Bellamy's work and the other artists in that comic. But was that moire pattern because when they'd screen the artwork, it would take somebody who really knew what they were doing because it was printed in that photogravure system. And on some comics, not that one, but on some comics you could see that moire pattern, and that's obviously somebody who's not lining it up properly and not quite sure, not doing the job right. Not that I could do it, but I'm just saying
we're doing it too quick, or late at night screening that's separations. Right. Crazy. Yep. Alf Fruin looks like says good morning. JD says again, George Perez's personal portfolio was called Accent on the First E. Nobody noticed. No.
I still have a copy of that somewhere.
Perez? Anyway, people sell the autographs, and that's why artists ask for money. Yeah, I believe Anthony Hopkins just doesn't give them. There's a number of celebrities that don't, just for that reason. Marv says, hello, Glenn. Glenn B. Fleming. Did the time change in the UK? In Portugal, it changed.
Yes, that's that. Yeah, it messed up the beginning of my show. When I say my show, my appearance on the show.
Marv says same's here. Says, I love black and white art. I think some artwork lost their
Yeah.
magic with coloring. Absolutely. Like Bernie Wrightson's art. Yes, it
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
You couldn't color that, could you? That's fabulous work.
Oh yeah.
Unbelievable. Yep. I always go back to old comics coloring. I don't like the effects they use today. That's why my comic is with grays and tones. I'm planning on doing. We'll have that.
Yeah,
we'll have
yeah.
that colors. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a
Yeah.
client now that I do a superhero team that's conservation and education based called the Preservers. And I learned a long time ago that they weren't interested in shades. They wanted it to look like the
Right.
old style comic book. So it's all done mostly in flats, except for I'll throw some shade in on the color on the cover every once in a while of the comics that we do. But for everything else, they just want bright. They have the old 70s, 80s idea of what a comic is in their mind. They want bright colors. They want solid blacks. None of the graduated tones or stuff that you see nowadays.
God bless them.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun to do. Always. Ran that already. Magi, Jake Lindsay says, hi, my friends. How
Hey,
are
Jake.
you? We are fine. We're
Morning,
doing all
Jake.
right.
Hi.
Marvy says,
Oh.
don't talk about comic book designers.
Oh,
Too
good
late.
gravy. Don't
Too
get me
late.
started.
Yeah.
Get me started.
We had a wild critique on Thursday
Yeah.
morning over Adobe Comics Blast, which is new so-called software for professionals,
Yeah.
is what they originally
No,
said. Now they said,
people-
no,
Yeah.
it's just a
Yeah.
kid's toy, is what they say now, in
Yeah.
order to help them construct comic book pages.
Oh.
I mean, people
Adobe.
were goofing on it on Twitter like crazy. I mean, yeah, this is, yeah. I
We
just,
did get a lot of really great response off of that show, though, and it is kind of classic if you go back and listen to the last half of that show. It just
yeah.
there are some pretty funny bits in there. John Celestri says each computer screen celebrated different,
Calibrated.
Calibrated.
Yeah.
differently. Also, you have to color in CMYK, not RGB. Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
true.
Well,
Yep.
You have
I
to
mean,
keep that in mind.
you know, it's funny because, like, yeah, I've always been taught that you had to work in CMYK, but I guess, like, I never, I don't know, with my coloring, I never noticed the difference between the two. So, and CMYK always chokes out my computer. So I've always colored in RGB,
Well,
like
the printed
like a heathen. Yeah.
the printing process would have to change it to CMYK, whatever you did it in, wouldn't it? So
I mean, I guess it's because most of our, like, I can't remember the last time we printed something like offset, which is
Right.
usually when you use CMYK.
Yes.
So, so yeah, it's like, so I never had a problem with using RGB. So yeah, because everything we do pretty much is digital, and digital is
right.
RGB.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
You still don't see a dullness in your blues and greens?
If I did, it didn't bother me. So I guess that's what I mean. I guess that's probably the issue that I have or don't have. That it's like it doesn't bother me. So I mean, I know that if you're using like very specific colors, you need to use CMYK. But then again, if you're using very specific colors, you can't print it digitally anyway. JD got a comic recently that was done completely in UV inks. You can't do that digitally. So I could imagine, it's like, yeah.
You'd
Yeah,
have
I
to-
mean,
you'd have
in
to
the end,
scan
yeah,
it, print it as a JPEG.
I don't know. I mean, because to get those colors, you can't get in digital.
Or you're not going to retain the color.
Yeah.
The best way to get
yeah, so that book had to have been offset. It had to, just to be able to get those light reactive colors.
Yeah, but don't you lose something when you go from, like, say, PNG to JPEG?
Oh yeah, you will.
Well, I mean, yeah, sure, but I'm not printing JPEGs either. So
Okay,
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like to me, it never was an issue. Although you are, but that's I guess, like, the creative process. I guess it's like, oh yeah, this is the way we're supposed to do that. But why?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if it works for you, if your process works for you and your printer can translate it into a printed, a final product that looks as close to your vision as possible. Because, like, you look at the comics of the 60s and 70s with that crappy Sparta-based printing. One of the, we mentioned original art earlier. One of my first original art purchases was Gray Morrow from All Star Western, the El Diablo series, and the stuff that when it was printed looked kind of like ink splotches or so that he used for shading was actually wash.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And
that had to be printed a certain way to look right.
Yeah.
And of course they didn't. They were just grinding this stuff out as fast as they could in Sparta.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like you look at this beautiful wash. Now, I mean, it looked beautiful in the printed comic book.
Right.
But you look at this, I looked at this original artwork and I was almost in tears.
Right.
I didn't and that's what really kicked off my mania for wanting original art.
Right.
Because at least at the time, now it's a lot better, but at the time, people inked to kind of make up for what the printer couldn't do.
Right. Yeah.
You could only use like a certain width of line. If you had somebody like a Vince Coletta, even his stuff would just a lot of his work would just drop out by the time it got into put onto the lead plates and all. So
I remember when Wendy Pini did her first trade with Starblaze Graphics.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I remember her telling a story about how she would stay up until 2 a.m. painting these pages and everything. Yeah. And she said that when she finally got the final book, she just burst into tears because she felt that however they printed it completely destroyed her work.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't understand it at the time because I thought that it was gorgeous. I mean, those are the only volumes that I have because later on she did a flat tone version of it, like a reprinting, but using just flat colors. And I always go back to the Starblaze. So I can only imagine what her original watercolors look like. For her to say this is garbage. This version of my book is garbage.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. I so get it.
Yeah.
That'd be a killer, wouldn't it? That'd be awful.
Yeah.
Imagine that. All that time spent creating that work, and then at the final piece that everybody's going to see, it's just messed up completely. That's terrible.
Right. Yeah. But I have no basis because I don't know what the originals look like, so I just have to take her word for it.
Well, I would trust her. Yep. I would trust her.
I would too. Yeah.
And then that first story of ElfQuest is one of the few pieces, kind of like the first set of Doctor Stranges and the first adaptation of the Star Wars film that's been out in every possible format that you can imagine.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that ElfQuest hasn't done is large-size treasuries that I know of.
Right. Yeah. That's really
it's been everywhere from every publishing company has ran that artwork and that story in one form or another.
I mean, I remember when she had it, it was like Marvel was running it through their Epic line, and she was literally redrawing pages. Like she was adding pages and adding scenes just to fit the format.
Yeah.
And then it's like she was doing the same thing when Dark Horse was doing a manga-sized version of it, and she was redoing pages. I mean, it's like, girl, how many times can you do this book?
Until the publisher gets it right, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Every publisher was different. Every different publisher was working off of a different format for that work.
Yeah.
That's true.
There was another comic in the 60s that I used to get called The Ranger, and there was a series in that called The Rise and Fall of the Trigon Empire. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah.
I got a collection of it when I was a kid.
Oh wow! Right. Well, Don Lawrence.
Yeah.
Well, I've got it reprinted by somebody in the 70s, and they've left panels out because the page size of the book was different from the ratio from the comic.
Yeah.
And they've left panels out and rearranged them so you'll get a page with only what should have had 6 panels on. It's only got 5 on it. There's an empty space. They haven't rearranged it, just taken it out.
Right. I wonder if that's the book I'm thinking of too. That I was about there was a book that they were trying to bring to the United States, and they were just completely butchering it, trying to make it fit our format.
There's been a lot of those. So
they've reprinted it again, but I've not seen the inside of that one. But they've reprinted it again now, and I hope they've got it right this time because Don Lawrence's artwork is just some of the best painted stuff around, and it's just and it's that old again. It's using those Dr. Martin inks and all that kind of stuff, and gouache and whatever he needs to put on the page, and it's just a fantastic artist.
Oh yeah,
and even just from a historical perspective. Just so we can see it, future generations can see the story construction and everything. I've had some talks with some of my older friends about this, and that there's some pretty embarrassing stuff for various reasons. But I'm of the historical camp that we need to put those apologies in, but we need to print it also, because we need a better record of this stuff, because there may be a day when this we're not doing paper anymore.
And I remember as a kid just grabbing anything. There'd be old comic strip reprints that looked worse than 3 or 4 times over Xerox collections that you'd buy and just fawn over because you hadn't seen the stuff before to be able to go to and see it and read it. And so much of that stuff is lost or mangled. I've got a couple of books, a Captain Marvel Jr. collection and a Black Condor and Ray Lou Fine collection that were literally shot off of the comic. So you end up with nasty grayscale, but it's still, as a kid, you were like going through, I'd never seen these characters before. This is awesome.
That's it. I mean, right now we've got archive collections of even some pretty obscure stuff. I've got like that one showcase book of the 50s Blackhawks. By Dick Dillon and Chuck Kudera. And I think I know the books you're talking about, Randy, from Flashback Books. I think it was Alan Light.
Pretty sure you're right. Yeah.
And you're right. They were total eyesores, but at the time, that's all we had,
and we liked it.
I loved it. I ate it up.
We ate it up. Yes,
because this was the stuff our parents were talking to us about.
And
that's why one of my most treasured books is a first edition of the Great Comic Book Heroes by Jules Pfeiffer, where that was the first time a lot of us saw that golden age stuff printed nicely.
There's a copy of All in Color for a Dime that I
that
bought out of the back of a Warren magazine. Way back when. I still refer to it.
I do too. That's a great book.
I have it that handy. Yeah.
I don't blame you. That's a good book. I loved it.
I already said that. Let me get out of there. Here's a really good joke. Why was China so good at baseball? They took out the whole world with one bat. Yeah. Okay.
Oh boy.
Everybody hit drive safely.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that's great. Marv says, I've got to get knowledge on printing. I have plans for some projects and I want to do prints like in the old days. Well, that's one of the advantages of having the internet is to be able to surf around and look. Question: how can we do digital coloring mimicking the old comics?
You can't.
What do you say?
No.
I mean, Russ seems to be doing a really good job with it, with Only Death Can Save Us. I mean, it looks like that he can, but the thing is though, if you want to get like the dots and stuff, that I mean, there are techniques to fake it.
Yeah. Go back into the old screen days. Yeah.
Right.
And figure out how to screen off of Photoshop.
Yeah.
And you look at some of the old colorists, like I love Tom Palmer. Was an exceptional colorist in addition to being a great inker. Or Marie Severin, Stan Goldberg, his daughter Petra. Yes, I studied the credits, kids. And you'd see that they would do like what we would call now flatting, but then they would have like an accent color alongside of it that maybe a little lighter, or if it was on the top, or a little darker, it was on the bottom. And I would think now with Photoshop it'd be even easier to do now.
I mean,
there's that temptation to go like hog wild, and put like 128 colors in a 1x1 space.
I've seen kits that you can digital kits that you can buy that fakes that, like the old, because that's also the thing you have to consider too. A lot of this coloring, the old school way, was done in a way to compensate for the paper it was being printed on.
Yes.
So you're technically also faking the paper on top of the coloring. So.
And the horrible printing process.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And you couldn't exactly like have a vibrant color because by the time you put it on that cheaper paper, even though it had the right absorbency, it's still going to dull down a little.
Right.
Yeah, so.
And looking back at it, there's a certain amount of charm of a slightly off-center plate.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
yeah.
hits funny.
We're
Yeah.
looking at you, Charlton. We're
Picking up
looking
those-
at you.
Yeah,
No,
we
a lot
are.
of
We
people
sure are.
that's a design trend now. I've seen so many
Yeah.
people imitating that offset.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they were trying to recreate the 3D look.
Right, but
Yeah.
that too,
Right,
that
Glenn, you're
too.
right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I noticed the Batman 66 comics were doing that for a while, and at
Yeah.
first I thought, what the hell effect is this? You know, somebody's asleep at the switch in DC, and then I realized, oh, it's deliberate. Okay, I'm
Right.
good now.
Yeah.
Cranky guy will just move on now.
Hey, you tried to do this on purpose.
There was an article about design talking about how everything comes full circle, that everything that we spent trying to like take out of the process, like, oh, the crappy paper, the crappy inking, the misregistration, now everybody is trying to put back in as a design element.
Yeah.
So what does this tell you? You see,
Yeah.
the old school, which is an awful,
Right.
it's an awful term, but it's all there. People trying to recreate it, like you said, and so why not just go back to it and do it on a piece of board? Get a
Right,
pencil,
yeah.
a piece of board, and draw.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Now
then when you're done, hang it on the wall.
Yeah, which you can't
Sell it.
do with a digital piece unless
No.
you print it out, which is not the same thing, really.
No, it's the same as the other million copies.
Yeah.
Now, for a youth perspective, we have Varian Grant in the house.
Right, sweet youth. Youth is wasted on the young. I'll tell you that.
There we go. How you doing this morning, Varian?
I'm doing okay. I'm just not on camera because I'm a complete mess. But
well,
I'm
it is
feeling
Sunday
okay.
morning.
Yeah,
We're all
yeah.
a complete mess. Yeah.
Varian's the boss, so he can do what he wants.
Well,
Yeah.
I had a couple questions. Daphne, is that a green screen or is that actually your art?
Oh no, that's actually a poster. This is actually, this is
That's
actually
huge.
a poster. Yeah.
Unfortunately, Daphne's incredibly small. The poster is
Yeah,
actually
Wow.
It's a 4 feet by 6 feet.
Okay, yeah, because Lola, because I'm looking, I'm like, she must have a really good green screen because I'm not seeing any like partitions or like artifacts.
No, this is old school. I'm just sitting in front of something.
Analog is best.
best,
Analog is best.
Analog is best.
Uh-huh.
No, yeah, I thought someone mentioned the word. I knew that you guys, because Randy tricked me. Randy said, "Hey, I want to talk about the news," and I think what he did was he whispered print underneath. And so I know when it's newsprint paper we're talking about. I'm like, but no, I did want to say that I have been enjoying, much to my chagrin. I went to Second and Charles, and they were blowing out all these old comics. I'm like, yeah, I'll pick up some old Savage Sword of Conan and stuff, no problem. But I've been enjoying them, even though, despite the fact they're on newsprint, they really deserve a reprinting.
It adds to it. I love those books.
Yeah.
They're magazine sized. They don't fit in any type of bags I've got.
And there's a reason that Savage Sword of Conan went 250, 300, or 400 issues. It's because it was that good.
Yeah.
And they sold that much. That back then, Marvel wouldn't print a magazine unless they were, selling a certain dollar amount. So they were moving that magazine real hard.
I did get an email though, and I'm gonna let you guys. Randy, I'll talk to you after the show. But so it's okay. It's no problem. I need a favor.
Somebody's gonna get spanked.
What I do now?
Exactly.
But I got a message from a gentleman named Clayton who told me.
Clayton Moore?
No. He said the current Marvel books, he bags them all. He bags them all
to go away.
He bags them all, and then takes them out to the front of his house and leaves them there for the trash man.
Oh.
And I thought that was very funny. I thought it was funny. Yeah. So
it's like Groucho Marx. Yesterday, I bagged a comic. I bagged it to go away.
Yeah.
I haven't read mainstream stuff in like in literal decades. So, it's like all the nonsense that's popping up. It's like, I know nothing about that.
Do you have an Ollie's? Do you have the Ollie's chain close to your house?
No.
No? Okay. Because I was going to say, if you ever want to read modern Marvel, just hit an Ollie's. It only costs you like $3 or $4.
I mean, we have a Midtown. We have Midtown Comics and all that. And it's like in the end, it's more like I'm not interested. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard too much nonsense, and I'm not a superhero head to begin with. So,
but
I think
Ollie's. See what happened at Ollie's though. Marvel and DC would go through and do these massive print runs on their trades because you could get them printed overseas.
right.
You get 10,000 copies overseas for the price of 5,000 copies, pretty much. Just a matter of printing. It's just a matter of leaving it on an extra 15 minutes and binding it and sending it on its way. So they used to have Marvel and DC used to have warehouses filled with stuff. They would solicit for a trade. They'd sell 3 or 4 maybe 1,000 of these, and then they'd hit that print mark because your per unit cost is so much lower that they just have extra copies that they'd have to warehouses. And a couple of years ago, they decided those warehouses were too expensive to keep. So they cleaned all of that stuff out and sold it to Ollie's for like a dime on a dollar, if that, probably pennies on the dollar. Because Ollie's had a huge racks of trades that they were selling for $2.99 and $4.99.
Oh, they're like a discount, like a discount
They are
shop
an
or
run
something?
discount shop. Yeah.
Store. It's like a closeout
Yeah.
store.
In fact, their latest,
okay.
their
So they're kind
latest
of like Books a
weekly-
Million.
Yeah.
Kind of?
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, they probably bought some of Book. I have a feeling, Randy, that they also bought out some of Books a Million and Hastings.
surprise me.
Okay.
I was picking up
Because I have a
DC.
Books a Million in the city, so yeah.
I was picking up DC archives for $10, omnibuses for $20. Yeah.
Wow.
From Ollie's. Yeah. I walked out with a huge box one day, and I mean huge, because I would run conventions, and I picked out all the real prime stuff that I knew was good and give it away for door prizes.
Right.
It's like, hey kid, have you ever read, all of the Simonson Goodwin Manhunter? Well, here it is. Boom.
Right.
I paid $3 for it.
And you know what's funny too? It's like,
I would hand
and
it out at the show.
you can give those books to a kid and not worry.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like even the Conans, you can, kind of. I think so. Like, you can give like a 12-year-old. You can give a Conan to a 12-year-old. And
anymore you could.
And
hey kid, you like stories about gladiators?
Yeah. And don't call me Shirley. Oh man.
The other thing is, if you want to read contemporary comics for free, if you have a library card, and your library will actually encourage you to do this. There is a program that I endorse, for what that's worth, called Hoopla.com. You download it, and currently you can download into your reading device 30 things a month. Now, this is also TV episodes, ebooks, audiobooks, but they have a wide selection of graphic novels and some individual issues from a number of publishers. And that's the only way I keep up with a lot of what's going on currently, because I sure as hell will not pay for some of the crap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'll spend a couple hours looking at it for free. And there are some good things out there in the mainstream, but you'll practically go blind looking for them.
Right. Yeah. And that was the thing too. I kind of like got tired of the whole needle in a haystack type of feeling I was getting from the whole thing. It's like, because people say, oh, you're just not looking. And it's like, you know what? I can go into a Barnes and Nobles and find exactly what I want in 30 minutes. Without
I can go to Amazon in 10 seconds.
Without anything, without knowing anything. But it's like I go into a comic book store and it's like, what's here? I don't know what's here, and I got to dig through it. And it's like a freaking Marshalls if it sold comics. I mean, it's like,
And then you have to deal with the ignorance of the owner, where saying, oh, we've got Superman. He was created by John Byrne. Yeah, we got that over here in the, let me blow the dust off that thing. Yeah.
Well, luckily, I never, I did have one incident that kind of like, it wasn't like that, but it was just like really annoying. And it was just like, it was when Snowpiercer, the movie, was about to come out. And I wanted to check out the the comic, the bande dessinée, I guess the French word. And I knew that Midtown might, if anyone would have it, it would be Midtown. So, so it's like I go and it's like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to go digging because I don't know where to look. So I say, okay, let me ask the front counter like a normal person, and they'll show me where it is. And I go, I'm looking for the comic. Oh, but what happened when I got to the counter? I had completely forgot the name. So, so I go, so it's like, I like going, okay, I'm looking for a comic. The movie's coming out and it's about a train and people living on a train and in a snow. Like this is literally just me. It's like, oh, I'm becoming that person.
Yeah. Hey, I'd like you to play a song for me. I think it's about love.
you know the person behind the counter was like,
right, and she was like looking at me, like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like, when the movie's coming out next week, and the comic's based on it. And she's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what this is. And then she turns and she goes, and she yells some name. It's like, oh, somebody. And he goes, yeah, she's looking for a comic about a train. And then all of a sudden in the background, I hear, oh, Snowpiercer.
This is what old age does to you, folks.
Yeah. Don't get old, people. Don't get old.
Oh man, that was I was kind of tight with the whole thing because it was just like so many layers of like, I can't handle this.
Yeah.
And then the worst of it, they had everything but the first issue.
Oh, there you go.
Randy, I want to show off something real quick.
Well, for our radio audience, I want to let them know that we're joined by John Silvestri, who just stepped away from his microphone. But it's coming back.
Just in case I have a reverb.
Yeah.
Are we okay?
No, you seem to be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
If we get a reverb, it'll be from Glenn. So
okay.
So my fault.
It's been okay. I guess it's when you use your phone that it might be a problem. Or something.
I think Glenn solved that problem, though. It's all good. We're good.
I want to show off something, Randy, if I can.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see here. There we go. It's upside down.
It is.
It's weird, but hold on.
Oh.
All right.
It's beautiful, whatever it is. There we go.
That's a real early issue of Savage Sword of Conan.
Yeah.
So can we get these away to the kids at the con, Randy? I mean, I think that
Well, we'd probably ask their parents' permission first because of the girl in front there. It's a little scantily clad.
Right.
I'm trying to turn.
I don't think a guy in the back wearing any pants.
Not for nothing, though. She's wearing just as much clothing as Conan is, so we're good.
Yeah, is that guy on the left? I'm not sure about his
That's
apparel.
Yeah.
Well, we've been joking about this, but I want to bring it up. By the way, this is my new scanner.
Look at that. Look at that.
Okay, this is my new scanner, by the way.
We finally got his scanner in.
Yes, I did.
With the curve flattening technology.
That's right. The one you could do bootleg PDFs from. What?
No.
What?
I have already went through the entire Chronicles of Oswald.
I'll send you my email later.
Yeah. There's no more.
Coming soon, folks. AhoyComics.com.
We've been talking about panels, and
love.
Remember, we are live.
John Buscema. Oh my God.
There was that John Buscema panel where he grabs a girl who was
it
planking.
is black and white, and look at how that stuff pops off the screen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's spotting the blacks in the correct way.
Right.
I mean, it's black and white, but it's tonality, it's understanding balance.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basic art.
Yeah.
And unless you learn that, or you have it instinctively, the page is always going to look like a mess, because no matter you have to already think about where you're going to spot your blacks and whites when you're composing the line art, and don't wait until afterwards say, well, I think I'll make a block here or what have you. You have to think about it first. Old man talk.
I was looking at it and I'm like, wow, this is really good. And like this right here, this panel here.
Yeah.
Look at it. Like that black there and that was done on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm throwing my pencil down. I quit. I'm done.
Yeah. Well,
No,
also
no, you're
look at
supposed to know.
look at the right hand
Teach me.
page, the top two left panels. The
Yeah.
close up and the long shot of Conan and the girl. Look how John used that negative space, that white
Yeah.
space, to concentrate your attention on that emotional part there.
Yeah.
And nowadays, with color, people be like pouring color in there, and then it just looks like, well, I guess the artist is too lazy to draw a background. But in something like this just pops. And I'll throw another name out there, Alex Toth.
Yes.
Mhm.
There's that's somebody, his work was made for black and white.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's beautiful stuff.
That's
If you
really,
ever have the
that's-
opportunity to read the early Plastic Men by Jack Cole,
Mhm.
something that really drove that home. Art Spiegelman did an entire book on looking at Jack Cole's composition and how he used the character of Plastic Man to literally shove your eye from panel to panel in correct format, all the way in a Z pattern across that page. It's just really amazing to sit there and contemplate. Like with to pull Varian's picture back up again, the page on the right hand side, Conan's large hand right there in front's literally moving your eye over to the next panel. Moving to the next panel, the girl's looking down in a Z pattern down to the bottom left-hand corner. There, the foliage is moving you over. The middle panel along the bottom, the foliage is moving your eye down and up, right towards the last panel. It's really amazing when you said whether it was instinctive or intentional that Buscema did that in order to drag your eye across that page.
Yeah. I mean, it's those little things that you don't think are being thought of, and
even on the previous page, the girl with the funny anatomy there in front, who's kind of planking on that first panel, just literally moving you up and over to the top right hand side of that page. It's really fascinating to sit there and look at. And this is a Conan magazine that anybody back then would have just dismissed as just a great story. You can sit there and analyze Buscema's art for hours like that and compositionally break it down.
Now for some other quality material, probably even better than this.
That's what the world needs. Varian, more door hangers.
That's right. My door hangers. Right. They came in the mail. I'm super excited. Can't wait to put them on the door. No one listens to door hangers in my house, but when I go to hotels from now on,
you'll be lucky if it's there in the morning.
Yeah.
Somebody will walk by. Where did this come from? That's pretty cool. Keep it. You'll never see it again.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, I'm sorry. It's cool because the scanner not only does it flatten curves, it'll I can take a panel,
which will be real interesting to see on an image comic.
We'll be here all week, folks.
I can scan pages, put them together. It works really well. It was worth the wait. We got another one that's coming that I'm going to give away on Indie Vault to one of our viewers, one of the subscribers. But it should be here in a couple weeks. They do come from China, so they are on boats.
Slow boats.
Yeah.
No other kind.
they're almost slower than Amazon if you don't have an Amazon Prime account.
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap, 8 weeks.
Well, not for nothing. Amazon does that on purpose.
I know they do. That's what's irritating.
Yeah. So I have a friend who completely boycotted Amazon because he didn't want Prime, and it's like, oh yeah, your thing will come in 8 weeks, but if you get Prime, you'll get it tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing is that between this scanner and Comics Blast, it's gonna be awesome. I just want to piss Meredith off. I'm at Daphne off. Same person, right? But I want to piss Daphne off and watch everybody's faces.
Well, someone confused Glenn for Meredith, so hey. Why not? Everybody needs glasses this morning.
Yeah. I gotta leave that stuff alone. That's what's happening.
Meredith says, "Good morning, friends." Good morning, Meredith.
Good morning, Meredith. Oh, should I say morning, Glenn?
Yeah, really. Yes.
There we go.
Marv says the book wasn't mine. Whatever that. Yeah. Hey, V. Marv
hello,
says,
Marv.
John Celestri. Hello, Marv. V says.
Hey, Marv.
JD Calderon says excuses. Says, I'll bet your house. I'll be at your house at noon to discuss royalties, Varian.
There we go.
With the bat.
About Oswald, yeah. Rudy Nebres is a master of black and white. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Seriously.
Maggie says, has the My Sharona Miley Cyrus Peter pandemic hit you guys this year with comics?
I'm to blame for that phrase.
I know you are.
Yeah. That's because we don't want our YouTube
exactly.
demonetized.
Let's call it the beer bug.
Yeah, there we go.
The great unpleasantness.
But that's a good question. I'd say the group answer is probably yes, and that's probably a show of its own. So in various ways, not just personal, knowing someone and almost being maybe exposed to it a couple times. When I did have, not the last show, but the show before. Yeah. But the guy didn't know he had it was a problem. But that's
they say that a lot more people are asymptomatic than we know of. That there seems to that seems to be the fastest way it's spreading. That people are asymptomatic and don't know it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but I would say for so many reasons, I would say the answer is yes. But that's probably something that would be a good discussion topic later on.
Yeah.
I think that'd take a whole show, like we were talking about conventions earlier. So
I don't think any of us have not been affected by this virus.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Glenn right now is undergoing some hardcore restrictions again, aren't you?
Yeah, in my area, yeah, we're on lockdown at the moment.
Yeah.
So I understand. I'm not asked anybody because I've not seen anybody, so I don't really know. I don't trust the news. I don't watch the news.
It's like hardcore lockdown with a 9 p.m. On the essential workers curfew, and it's really strict.
That's in Wales. That's in Wales.
Is it?
That's not too far. It's about 40 miles from me, but that's in Wales, where it's on total lockdown.
It's just an hour away.
Yeah. Apparently, I don't know whether it's true or not because I've not been to Wales, but in some of the supermarkets, they're putting plastic over non-essential items. So if you go to the supermarket tomorrow in Wales, allegedly, you can buy food that you cook in the microwave, but you can't buy the microwave because the microwave is a non-essential item.
Yeah.
Oh,
work that one out.
Wow, they're being that specific.
Wow.
Until your microwave at home breaks,
right?
And then buying a new one becomes very essential.
Exactly. Yeah. Not that I cook anything in the microwave.
That's the kind of thinking that we had here in Michigan quite a while ago when our governor banned the sale of seeds. Everybody just went into utter turmoil going, see, what?
That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what one has to do with the other. Yeah. But I mean, like for me, it's like, well, my sister had it back in March and she's still and she's still like being affected by she has like flare-ups and it seems that there's, and
what are the symptoms?
Well, the fatigue and the fever.
Like flu.
And she said that the fatigue is no joke, that it completely knocks you on your butt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
And she said that she could be fine. And then just one day she literally cannot get out of bed. And it's like, and what I've been reading is that seems to be like a common after effect is these flare-ups. And then in my area, they're threatening to literally shut down certain zip codes because of it, they're turning into hotspots. I think my zip code is next to a hotspot, so I have no idea.
Yeah, and
on toilet paper.
No, we're good. We're good. It's like, because you know what it is? I've been always good with supplies ever since Hurricane Sandy. Oh. So I've always been kind of like a little urban prepper type of thing. So so I wasn't affected at all by any of the shortages.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've heard that those shortages are going to stretch well into 2021.
Yeah.
And another big thing that you have to be concerned about are furnace filters, because the furnace filter material inside the filter is made out of the same material as toilet paper.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. It's also like air conditioner filters too.
Yeah.
But the problem, because the thing is too, is that's why you got to be careful when you buy stuff on Etsy, because there were people using those filters to make masks.
Yeah.
And not disclosing that those filters have fiberglass in it, and you're not supposed to be breathing.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah.
So on Etsy, be careful with that.
That's great for the lungs. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I did want to come to the governor's defense. Mission.
You always want to come to. You just like the governor. That's all.
She's hot.
My governor looks nothing like that. I hear you, Marion. I hear you. I have a pulse, brother.
Varian is very forgiving when the curves are in the right places.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Randy's gonna need that
She
picture.
needs a little of that curve flattening technology.
Yeah, when the curves are flattened, Varian is very forgiving.
That's enough out of you, Randy. She's fine as she is. But anyway, shortages are coming, and you're going to need distractions, folks.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Brian, Rising Tide Pub. Anyway, hashtag always promote.
No, but the thing is, though, it's like, it's funny. It's like a lot for as a lot of people are complaining that like the lockdowns and stuff are such a drag. I don't know. I got a lot of work. I got a lot of work done.
So did I.
Lockdown.
Yeah.
I wasn't exactly upset to hear that. Oh, we might go in lockdown again.
Well, everybody has a different perspective, and
Yeah.
like I keep trying to explain to the wife, the difference is being asked and being told. Everybody's fine if you ask and you give them a logical explanation. Okay, not a problem. But when you tell somebody and it doesn't make sense, that's when the protests start.
Seed thing, because here, Governor Cuomo, he was like very, very careful in making sure that everybody understood why he was doing what he was doing and making the decisions that he was doing, which is why I guess I would think it worked well where we are. But when you say you can't buy seeds, I can't imagine what the correlation is.
That was like that dog response. Hmm?
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Oh, yeah. Well, I tell people that I'm kind of antisocial to begin with. I've been training for, I'm as a full-time publisher writer, I've been training for this since 2012.
Yeah.
It's like, send me in, coach. I'm ready. Lock it all down, brother.
Yeah. There's a quarantine. Oh, yeah. Well, that just means business as usual.
Right,
We just go in the basement and do the same thing we were doing before. Yeah.
I've been a freelancer since 1987. So
You're at the Olympic level then.
for 40 years almost.
Yeah.
It's like, hold my beer, I'll show you how to socially isolate.
Right, yeah. I mean, the thing is, it really was surprising to see just like how many things we allowed to be distractions once it became like not an option.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like just going outside. Like how many times I felt I had to go outside for reasons I can't tell you right now. I just have to go outside. And now it's like, I ain't going outside. What are you, crazy? I'm not going outside.
That's like, again, being told and being asked, what do you mean I can't go outside?
Right.
Yeah.
I need some air. I'm going outside. Yeah.
Yeah, the only part of me that went outside was my right arm when I'm going out to get the mailbox.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Got fresh air for about 3 months.
Well, you all, I mean, I don't, Brian, I don't know where you're living. I mean,
Indiana.
What area?
Central Indiana.
Well, you open up the door and you've got the Great White Plains out there.
What are you talking about?
Well, I'm in Kentucky.
Not my part of town, we don't. We are probably a couple miles from any sort of forestry. No, we would occasionally go out and in the car and just roll the windows down and drive around when the weather was nice. But as far as talking to people, we would do that till we went down to Dollar General or Walmart, and then that's the sort of humanity at the time that didn't exactly give you much confidence for the survival of the human race. So.
Yeah. When it seems safer to go to Disney World than it does to go to Publix or the supermarket.
Or Beirut.
Yeah.
Give me a good unexploded device anytime over trying to go through the produce department of Walmart.
But everyone's wearing a mask. Everyone's wearing a mask.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm the one going at everyone, but all they can see are my eyes. So
they say that if you go to Target when you don't mind spending a couple of extra bucks to avoid Walmart. And,
right, yeah.
Not in my area. Thanks.
We always feel that way about Myers box store. We go there because we don't want to spend the money for the cheap food.
The craziness
levels of her cheapness.
Oh.
Yeah. we'd go to the natural food store because we knew at least people there were like they actually listened to PBS or something and were getting like some sort of real news, and they were masked up as much as they could be. So I felt safe going in there, but rest of the places, Darwin was right.
Oh, so what were you about to say, Glenn?
Yeah, the craziness over here is that you can't go and see your grandmother, but you can sit in a cab, go and pick her up, and take her to dinner.
What?
You can't go to her house and sit with her, but you can pick her up in a cab and go to a restaurant and eat dinner with her.
Do you have outdoor? Is it have that outdoor dining thing?
Well, yeah,
No.
but I'm just saying that you can pick her up. You can't go through the door and see her and sit with her, but you can sit in a cab with her because you're taking her to a restaurant.
Right.
She's safer at home, much safer.
Yeah,
It's madness. It's crazy.
That doesn't make any sense.
I know.
Speaking of not making any sense, Marv says Comic Blast is tight.
Oh, it makes me tight. Makes me tight. That's for sure.
This is Marv's last appearance on the show.
Marv just wants to get Daphne, man.
Fight.
And my area magician friend used to do 9 shows a month, 400 per show. He now has only 1 show a month. Yeah.
I as much as I disliked conventions beforehand, now I miss them so much.
Magic continues.
When we're back at conventions, like, I will never take advantage of you again. I'm sorry.
In public, I most of the time act like Rick Moranis in Spaceballs, saying I can't breathe in this thing. Me too. I know what you mean. Marv says lockdown doesn't bother me. I go to work and I go back home for years. I don't like to be out. My world is my home. So I don't hang out with anyone. Yeah. Well,
I mean, there was something that I read online. It's like, oh, people are complaining that being home all day is boring. And someone answered, what do you mean being home is boring? You made it that way.
Yeah. Netflix. Let's see. Netflix, the internet.
Tell them if that's the way you feel, why are you looking so forward to being retired?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
I prefer being home, but I'll tell you this, guys. I thought that I was stronger mentally than I was until I got the scanner yesterday, and I realized it's from China. And I'm looking at the box like, should I leave it outside for a day or so?
Yeah.
Did you soak it in bleach before you ran it?
Yeah. I'm sitting there looking at it like, man, I just brought COVID into the home, and
it's already sat on the dock for 5 months. Anything that was connected to it is long dead.
Long dead. I don't think that is as much of a problem. I mean, although every time I get an Amazon package, every time I unpack everything, I do use hand sanitizer. I always hand sanitize and wash my hands afterwards.
Well, that's
I wait for the mail go. I put the mail in a box, and for the next day I open it up. I mean, it's what the heck,
right?
Mm-hmm.
What if it says you've got 24 hours to answer this, and you put it in the box outside, and some guy comes down and takes your house off you?
That's what the hazmat suit is for.
I don't care.
You know what I found out though, guys, is that a lot of these companies are actually willing to help. I got a credit on one of my accounts because I have my account under my publishing company's name. And the gentleman, I called and I was going to pay my bill, and the guy said, "Sir, I want you to know I'm a big fan of what you do." And I thought he was a fan of Last Call Comics. And I'm like, holy crap, a fan, sweet. But no, he was just a fan of comic books, and he thought I was a retail store. So he provided a $230 credit on my account, which I took.
Well, of course. Yeah. We're not saying no.
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, man, I've been hit hard. I can't open. It sucks. Thanks for that $230 credit. So this is awesome. So I mean, stores are willing to help you. I mean, companies are willing to help you if you call. Some of them, not all of them. But believe it or not, even Adobe waived my fee for 3 months.
Mm.
You tried to
yeah,
you
Wow.
tried
I
to
remember
get that
reading
comic
yeah.
blast early, didn't you?
No. No, Comic Blast is revolutionizing the industry with that bad lettering. Daphne, and I'm gonna go mute after this because Daphne's gonna go rage.
I was going to say, I think
Go for yours. Go for
Comic
yours.
Blast
You have
is
to
probably
mute.
too late for that blam blot. Already beat you when it comes to sound effects. If I see the same blam 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 again in a comic book, it'll be way too soon.
I mean, it really though, but that's always going to be the risk when you try to like simplify things for people, and then you have people who just like take it at face value. That's really the problem. Like,
Adobe released a statement. They said that they did. Yeah, wait, I'm actually gonna turn red. Watch this, everybody. Get your Daphne shades out. She's gonna turn red. Let's see. They said they did not. They said it was framed completely wrong. They weren't marketing this to professionals.
well, that's for sure.
Even though she said in the presentation how professional and that you're professional and
Right.
professional.
Yeah,
It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
They said we're marketing this to kids. I don't know what kid has an Adobe account.
Now I don't know. Nowadays they're on their parents' computer, so I don't know.
But
Look,
they did.
I see babies on iPads. I can't. I don't know anymore
Well, they
what
did
kids
market
nowadays
professionals.
have.
They're backtracking because they're afraid.
Yeah.
Because they got spanked. Oh, we didn't mean it for professionals. Yes, you did. Yes,
Yeah.
you did. Author Michaela Jade says, "Oh, hello, Michaela."
What?
Is it a comment?
Friend of mine.
Oh.
It's between me and Michaela.
Yeah.
It's the feds.
Oh, when I was a kid, it was only a pad and a pencil.
Yeah,
for crying
really.
out loud. I mean, that's the problem. Is that developing creativity is one thing. Having to learn how to use a pencil, a huge, giant computerized pencil, is something else.
Mm-hmm.
Start simple. Leave the kids alone. Let them, make them bored.
Yeah, no, for real. For real.
Go. Make something up.
Here's a box, kid.
So
yeah, those
here's
were
a
the
cave.
best.
Here's a
Nothing
cave wall. Here's
beats
some
a
dye.
cardboard box.
Yeah.
Man.
I still save cardboard boxes that all my stuff come in just for that reason alone.
Just to see if you can fit into them and drive them like a fire truck.
Yeah.
No, that's really. It's like, who does that? I mean, really, it's
Yeah.
Absolutely.
the box. You have like Mattel and and Hasbro and this. All you needed was a box.
Yeah. Maggie says, when my dad had a Virtu, the virus, he told me that it's the flu on steroids. Mm-hmm. When I had pneumonia, he said it was pneumonia. He said pneumonia was way worse. Everybody gets hit with this differently.
Yeah.
So Arthur Michaela Jade
it's
says
kind of like Lyme disease. That it's that's the reason why like the therapies aren't lining up, because everyone gets it differently.
Yeah.
Right. I've got a friend who's suffering from not just the fatigue, but a certain amount of short-term memory loss.
Ooh.
Wow. Because
it does. The science has no idea of. There are some neurological problems as a result of this thing, but it's too new for anyone to understand what those effects are yet. Yeah, he said he's still having trouble with short-term memory, and I've had friends with that problem before, and I'm sometimes one of them. But in all seriousness, that could be very debilitating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and the fatigue.
The fatigue really. Yeah.
Marvi says Magic Blast has the magic button.
Yeah.
Voila.
Yeah. No, really. Yeah.
Why but be this close to her? I mean,
right.
Moment, I'm in danger, folks. I need help. I can see it in her eyes. She's got the
but because it's like I really do have a lot of vitriol to anything that that just like tries to superficially commoditize. What am I saying?
Monetize?
No,
monetize?
well, just to turn my skills into a commodity.
Yeah.
Well, you mean it's kind of like pork barrels,
right? Yeah, that it's just something that anybody can pick up, and meanwhile, it's like I'm here struggling, trying to like improve my skill and send it to the next level, and really, really work on how I do things. And then Adobe comes out going, oh, you don't need to learn anything. We just press the magic button, your lettering's done. And it's like, F you, Adobe.
Yeah, but I think in the long term, if it were sold as a training tool, maybe that might be one thing. But I agree with you completely, Daphne.
Yeah.
That I think there will always be a certain number of people who will look at that and they won't know. Like what Randy was saying about the John Buscema pages. That a lot of people just say, "Hey, this is a cool looking story," whereas we can go, "Hey, look where the eyes are. Look where the little they're guiding you." Whereas I'm thinking that somebody who's going to put together a book in this program, they're going to look at it and go, "Oh, I see they use that shitty program to put this book together."
Yeah.
And make a paper airplane.
No, go ahead.
It'll even out, I think. There's a reason why not everybody in their right mind is using Comic Sans to letter balloons with.
They forget the main part of this, and it's called talent.
Yeah.
Exactly. Good point, Glenn.
Talent.
Good point.
Yeah.
I mean, even the person who designed the program for the person who hasn't got the talent to draw had the talent to make the program. Do you understand what I mean? The talent thing is, you see. For years, people they've said to me, anybody can learn to sing. And I say, well, I've been singing for 60 years and I still don't sound like Marvin Gaye. So, because he was talented.
Right. It's the way people misunderstand the 10,000 hour rule.
Right.
Where it's like it's not just 10,000 hours of doing something. It's 10,000 hours of very deliberate practice. And even then those 10,000 hours and the deliberate practice has to line up with the opportunity. So it's not just just do 10,000 hours and you become a master. I mean, it's like what really, well, that's not what really, I mean, the whole thing with the lettering, just taking something, lettering looks simple. But the thing is, though, there is an entire, I guess, like a science to it. There really is. It's the same thing like we were looking at those pages, and the way the panels were laid out had a science to it, whether it was like deliberate or just something that just came to him naturally. That's like, oh, of course, the eyes, you need like little, instead of like.
Vectors have to point into, you have to show the signposts. Yeah. Vectorizing, everything
instead of like literal
else in the order that you want it to be in.
Right. Yeah. Like instead of like using literal arrows, he's using the imagery and the way he positions the camera in the panel to move your eye in the direction that he wants. And you do the same thing with lettering too.
Yeah, I think that's a natural thing. John Buscema and Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and these people, these masters of storytelling, they do it instinctively. But they also know why they're doing it.
Right.
Yeah. There's two elements to it, I think. They know what they're doing, but they didn't learn it anywhere. They may have seen something and picked it and got it subconsciously, like sort of thing. But they weren't, because you can show anybody anything. I mean, you was talking about things looking simple. It looked simple when Neil and Buzz landed on the moon.
Well, yeah, really.
How difficult is that? But it looked easy the way they did it, because they were very talented pilots, and that's why they were in that vehicle at that moment. And those are the guys later. We couldn't do that, and I don't think you could learn how to do that. You've got to have an instinct for things.
Well, that's like a phrase that I keep hearing. Mastery is making it look like anybody could do it.
But don't forget this 10,000 hours thing. I don't know how long 10,000 hours is in days, or years. But Stevie Wonder didn't have 10,000 hours, and he was number one when he was 11.
Right. Yeah.
You see what I mean? So
sometimes people have a shortcut. Yeah.
It's called talent.
Yeah.
Well, no one wants to accept the possibility that there is an innate talent that a person needs to start with.
Yes.
I have a feeling a lot of people resent the idea.
Yeah.
That's
right. Yeah. Just because it says what makes you so special. I mean, that's a phrase. Well, you know what? Just see what they're doing. Now, there's a difference between a craftsman or someone who's learned a certain skill and can do certain things. But then, to rise above that, then you go, you have craftsman, and then you have an artist, because the craftsman can make something look nice, An artist has a vision and has something to say with it.
Yeah.
We'll even look at like something like in the NBA, where you've got dozens of men who have put in that 10,000 hours, but there's only one Michael Jordan.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
No,
There's
and what's
some sort of spark that lifts you above the rest of
Yeah.
the crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, just to go back to the talent thing. I mean, I used to have like a love-hate relationship with the word, because it's like, on one hand, people go, you're so talented. And it's like, it's kind of like dismissive, because like, because it dismisses the amount of work that still goes into building the skill. But then at the same time, they resent you having talent, because it means that you already like are ahead in a strange way, that you already have like that's starting, you're in a starting point that's ahead of most people.
Yeah.
So it's like, so they resent it. So it's like, on one hand, they resent it, but they also use it to dismiss you. And it's just, I don't know. And it's like, in this Adobe triggered me.
Varian, are you close to our numbers at all? Are you there, Varian? You're not there.
He's muted.
Flattening curve.
I know he's muted.
Brian was correct before when he said about I think it was a football. I don't know the American thing, but we have football over here. Soccer, I think you call it.
Yeah.
And we had a guy called George Best. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yes, I've heard of George.
Well, he was he's dead. He's dead now. But in the 60s and 70s, he was the best player, arguably in the world, certainly in Great Britain. And he never turned up for training because he was too busy out with the ladies and drinking. So he never went to training. And yet you get other people who would be going to training every day and never missed it, and they weren't half as good as he was at football.
Right. Yeah.
So that proves it, because he had talent. He was very, very good at what he did.
Right.
So the other guys were putting hours in.
I've also known plenty of very, very talented artists who never amounted to anything. So talent in and of itself doesn't guarantee anything either.
No, but you need
not at all. No. That's commitment and putting the work in. That's
exactly
which is the 10,000 hours. Yeah,
it's discipline.
Yes.
Discipline, being able to develop what you have. And I would rather. I mean, when I was directing, for animation, and we'd get young guys come in, or young gals and artists come in and say, okay, I would rather have someone with a modicum of talent, but they had drive to learn. And then there is those who had a great flashy portfolio, and
and they're just coasting.
But they couldn't sit their seat down and produce the work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or they didn't want to take it to the next, because to challenge somebody to make something above their comfort zone, because you're going to always see the best of their comfort. It's how talented and how professional you become is when you go beyond what is your comfort zone and develop and at least do better than what you thought you could. But you've got
to have the desire.
Right. Yeah.
You need the desire to succeed as well.
Yeah.
True.
Exactly.
And on that note, we're going to have to finish it up, because we are almost pressed up to that 2-hour mark. So,
and YouTube starts getting persnickety.
Well, I mean, we could keep talking for 3 or 4 hours.
But, yeah, sure, but we.
And when I'm here, that's usually what happens. So.
Yeah, there we go. Yep. We want to thank everybody for listening. We have 36,022 people listening right now all across the world. We deeply appreciate you, and the fact that you're listening in. We're going to close out here real quick with the last minute chats. Here's a really good joke. Why did the stormtrooper get dumped by his girlfriend? He can't name it. Anyway. Bad humor. Here we go. Hard work and knowledge doesn't matter anymore. It's better to be dumb nowadays, or do they want to make money from lazy people?
Yeah, because lazy people are cheap.
I have a joke.
Oh, no.
Like with every magic trick, I do spend 3 weeks practicing one trick.
Exactly.
Good for you, Magi.
Makes it look easy. Yeah, time flies.
Yeah, really.
Yes, it does, Marv.
Knock.
Who's there?
Doctor.
Doctor Who?
The old ones are the old ones.
And boy, are we old.
Vaudeville isn't dead; it just smells that way.
John, tell the audience how they can get a hold of you.
Well, you could get me on.
You didn't even introduce you. I didn't have you introduce yourself either.
Oh yeah, well, I'm John, the animator guy. I animated Boba Fett in the Star Wars Holiday Special, and Batman, and He-Man and She-Ra, and Rock and Rule, and so there's a whole bunch of stuff there, and Dragon's Lair and Space Ace. But you can get me in my comic books now on. I'm in demand on Indiegogo. You just type in John the Animator Guy or John Celestри's comics, and I've got a range from now adult down to the little kiddies. So there you go. And you could get me on at Celestri John on Twitter.
Very cool.
Very cool. Yep. And Glenn.
Yes.
Glenn, let folks know how people can get a hold of you.
Yeah, you can get me on Comics Unlimited magazine at gmail.com. I publish Comics Unlimited, which is a magazine about comics, surprisingly. I'm also an author and an artist, and sometimes documentary maker as well. So just you can get me on that email, Comics Unlimited magazine at gmail.com.
I'm in the next issue.
Yes,
You're in the next issue. Awesome.
A brilliant article, the best one we've had so far from Daphne. It's excellent.
Daphne, tell folks how they can get a hold of you.
Well, if funny animal fantasy is your thing, you can go to talltalesonline.com, TAILS, and sign up to get the first 3 issues of Tall Tales as downloadable PDFs for free. And if you're also into art tutorials, demos, and the occasional live stream, you can find me on YouTube at Daphane Lage Art, Lage Art, on YouTube.
Sweet. And Mr. Brian K. Morris, tell folks how they can get a hold of you.
It's easy, folks. I'm everywhere. Brian K. Morris, writer, editor, publisher, broadcaster, risingtide.pub, where you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter and find out all that's going on in my world. Also, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, never mind the furthermore, 10 a.m. Eastern or Clever Title Pending Tuesdays. And we're going to have a special Friday episode this week at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I do books, I do comics, got stuff in the pipeline. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel because I could use the popularity. I'm so insecure.
We're all trying to hit that 1,000 mark.
Yes, we are. I'm trying to get that 123. So that's where I'm at. So.
And for us here at Indie Volt, we are going to be back Tuesday night at 9 p.m. with the Indie Volt podcast. We are also going to be around Thursday morning for the wonderful Breakfast Buzz at Thursday morning at 8 or 9 a.m. And those times are Eastern Standard Time. We are also Wednesdays. We will be doing a Geekgasm show with media and comics from a female perspective, run by the Indie Princess. When with a little help from Mr. Varian Grant.
Yeah,
and
in a wig.
What?
In a wig when I do that show. I wear a wig.
In a wig.
Things back.
Okay. And also back here on Sunday for another Sunday Funny show. We appreciate everybody who's listening. We'll be back here at 9 a.m. Next Sunday to talk more, hopefully more fun, more whimsical comics, a little less COVID maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
a little less of the beer bug. We are available on an app, indievolt.com. Listen to us at Indie Volt Radio. You can get us from a Google Play app or a Streama app, or you can ask Alexa to play Indie Volt Radio, and she might be nice enough to do that for you. We also have a Roku channel where we play wrestling programs and movies and an occasional podcast. Some longer extended podcasts are over there that might be a little too sensitive for YouTube and their use. Also, we invite any type of comment or suggestion to IndieVolt Live at indievolt.com. Please include IndieVolt Live in the subject line, or you can put Sunday Funnies in there too if you want. And please keep those emails to 90 words or less. Any comment or suggestion are always welcome. We love to address that no matter how serious or silly. Just remember, our feedback will be better because of your setback. Hashtag get an education. Hashtag IndieVolt. So did I cover all of that right, Varian?
Yes, you did. And also, real quick, if you want to check out some of John's work, Rock and Rule is currently free on Amazon
yeah.
Prime.
We were just watching that the other day.
Yeah.
Great film.
There you go. That's Rock and Rule.
Yep.
Over on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
Even though they, Amazon still takes 8 weeks to send me. Rumble. I'm available at Facebook under Randy Zimmerman, on the Twitter under Randy Zimm. I don't tweet very often, but when I do, it says Randy Zimm over there. I also have the Zimm Geek channel, ZIMMGEEK. Also on YouTube. Please go over there, like and subscribe. I do put up videos sporadically. Sooner or later, I'll have another one up there. So I promise. And other than that, until next time, I think it's time to run. Any last words, Varian? No.
Nope.
If you don't eat your meat, you can't have any pudding.
I'm glad you said eat your meat. I didn't at first. I thought what? Okay.
I thought it was veggies. Eat your veggies and no pudding.
Okay. All right. There we go. Okay.
All right, everybody. Take care. Have a good rest of your day, and we shall see you soon. I need to jump back over to the Sunday FUNnies side of things so that we can run the closing. The closing's the same as the opening, but we're going to run it anyway.
Bye.
So until next time, everybody, take care. Thanks a lot for listening.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.
How dare you!
Yay!